And we are live here for take number 2, attempt number 2 for Starship Flight 10, which we did just have a bit of a delay already in the launch window. So it's going to open, what, 14 minutes from the original?
Yeah, I think SpaceX knew you were about to go live, so they delayed it 14 minutes.
Okay, so now that's going to be launch window opening 6:44.
That is correct.
Central Time. Mm-hmm. The issue today, well, we've had a few issues. Right. It's been touch and go again. Now it looks like we are, keeping our eyes on the weather. There was some stuff this morning. We went out to Starbase. We were actually kicked off the beach in time, for them to actually. Yeah, for a good reason. Yeah. Usually, you don't want to be kicked off the beach, but this was a good sign. Right. And so now we are, it's still looking like it could happen, but the weather needs to cooperate.
Exactly. Yeah. Right now, what we are seeing is behind us, it looks really, really good. And also off to the east, it looks pretty good. But to the west of us and to the north, there's some possible, a little bit of maybe thunderstorms. There's some vertical activity. There might be a little bit of electrostatic discharge in there, maybe not quite lightning, but I think that's probably what they're looking at. We don't know if the Indian Ocean, I haven't checked to see if that's okay or not, because that's obviously where they want the Starship to go. But right now they are watching it. The last that we saw was 55% chance of go. So that's better than 50-50. So we're keeping our fingers crossed.
And yesterday it was originally a 45% chance of go. And then the weather was just perfect. And fortunately they had that ground systems issue.
Yeah.
Talk about, we weren't sure this morning if they were going to be able to repair it in time.
Right. So that's kind of the why are we here now kind of question. Yeah. Yesterday, almost about this same time in the launch countdown, they started to do the methane fill into the ship. And a few minutes after that, at about 45 minutes before the launch time, they started to do the LOX load. And a few minutes after that, they detected a leak in one of the umbilical lines that is what transfers that liquid oxygen to the ship, and it also lets them to detank it as well. But with that leak, that really was not, safe to fly. So they ended up stopping it pretty quickly. And sort of the good thing is they really hadn't started any of the booster propellant loading, and they had just a little bit in the ship. So that saved them as far as having to, get the cryogenics replenished. They did lose some just because of, natural boil off, but it wasn't as much as if they had done the entire booster and ship.
We've seen that happen before, and that's, minimum of 2 days.
Right. So
we got lucky.
We did in that case. And as soon as they got it safed and everything, they were out there last night, overnight, replacing this giant hose about 90 meters or 270 feet off the ground in the dark with some rain and thunderstorms around. So it's kind of crazy just what they did.
Well, speaking of luck, I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm wearing my flight suit with a patch from Starship IFT-1, the first Starship flight on it. So I don't know if that's going to reflect.
I don't know.
But we're really hoping that they're able to launch today because, quite frankly, they want to launch.
They do.
They want to get rid of these V2 ships. Yep. This is the second to last one that they have in the fleet. And then, let's move on.
Exactly. They have as you probably saw, Elon put a short video clip from the Star Factory out, and it showed a lot of nose cones, a lot of barrel sections, a lot of activity inside the Star Factory. And all of those are the next generation ships, and some of them may be booster parts. So they are definitely ready for that to happen. And I would imagine that, they put a lot of work into getting the workstations and the tooling and the training and all of the new updates to those designs. And they really want to get to that. The only thing that's really holding them back right now with that is the fact that they need to launch the last of the V2s and hopefully get that data specifically for the heat shields so that they know what they need to use for sure on the next generation of the ship. So
I'm just checking in on some of the comments. We have people checking in from the UK. So good morning to you. Sorry you guys have to suffer an early morning again. At least there was no a question about Elon having a technical talk that then it got canceled, and that also screwed up sleep schedules over there. So let's see, where are you guys watching from? We have Las Vegas vocalist watching from Las Vegas. Well, I'll be getting married there in about a month.
Yeah.
And
breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news. And we have Fish Whisperer from Scotland. We need to get Scott Manley out here, by the way, speaking of,
Yeah.
for a launch, because he still has not been here now that he's a full-time creator.
Yeah, he doesn't have any excuses anymore.
Exactly. So yeah, so we are, thank you for the first super chat from Jonathan Hamer. Thank you for the stream. Thanks for tuning in. And let's just hope that the weather cooperates.
I hope so.
And right now it's seems doable.
For the most part, it's not a problem. It's just like I said, the vertical development off to the west and north may be a little bit of the concern. And if there is any of that electrostatic buildup there, that may be looking at that. As far as like the upper level winds, as far as directional or speed shear, it doesn't seem like it's that bad. So hopefully, things will be able to work out. They even with this a little bit of a slip into the window that still gives them over a half hour more to work with. So
it's crazy. I can't believe that we haven't actually seen a booster catch since January. Was it January or was it March?
The last.
No, it was March.
Yeah.
Wait. Actually, wait. Hold on. Which one?
I can't remember. It might have been the March. Was it January? Okay.
It was Flight 7. When was that? That was January.
That was January. Yeah.
Because Flight 8, they went into the ocean,
right.
So it was loud over
right.
here. Yes, so was January. That's a long time. In my mind, it's like more recent.
I know.
I think it's because the launches are also just so incredibly loud that they almost feel like as jarring as what you'd hear during a catch. Catch is quite spectacular.
Okay. Well, I agree. They're not going to get a catch today, though, unfortunately.
Not catch. Yeah, for those of you who didn't know that, but they will be landing it not too far away, hopefully controlled.
Yeah, it should be controlled. They have a couple of experiments that they want to do, and it will be out in the Gulf. And it should be, with the low level visibility that we have, it should be close enough for us to see it with our eyes. Of course, there's going to be other people out with some really great camera views. So looking forward to that as well. But, unlike the last flight with Booster 14 that kind of rutted, it was in sort of a hazy layer. Not very many people saw that. This one should at least be visible.
I hope so. And thank you to Howard for the super sticker. And where are you watching from, Howard? And thank you to Left to Seat, who is thanking us both. Thank you, Joe, for agreeing to do yet another live stream. It's interesting. We've seen 9 Starship, actually, I'm speaking, we haven't seen this one launch yet.
Right.
We've seen 8 Starship launches in person, but we've done more of these, practice streams.
That's true.
I mean, I wonder how many times now we've had that dreaded S word where we've.
Well, it was IFT1 for sure.
Yeah.
I think the last one did 2.
Yeah.
And then there might have been another one, so maybe 3.
It's such a bummer, and we meet people from around the world, and it's we try to explain to people, you can come all this way from very far away, but there's just no guarantee that these rockets are going to launch on the day that you think, or maybe even in the week that you think. There's all sorts of stuff that can happen down to the very last minute. No exaggeration.
Yeah. Well, that's what you get with a prototype development. I mean, we think Flight 10, they've got to have it down. What's the issue is this is a prototype in very, dramatic ways. I mean, it's not just the ship or the booster, it's both, and it's the ground support systems as well. So they're developing, they're changing, they're learning, and they're trying to figure out what works best so they can have a much higher operations tempo, which could be next year at least starting to ramp up.
So what is your prediction for today? I asked you yesterday, and well, here we are, Monday.
Yeah. I still feel pretty confident that we're going to go. I think the weather, they'll be able to figure out a way to get through that. Obviously, the big issue is, did they get it really fixed? Are they able to put the propellant in? I think that we are getting close to that time. I'm trying to do public math here. We're about an hour 3 away from launch, so with the new launch window, so that means we're about 8 minutes away from potentially starting to see the methane going into the ship. So
Mystic wants to know, Joe, was your shirt inspired by Elon's tweet today?
Actually, I had my shirt on before he tweeted. So he copied me. I think he was inspired by that.
That's awesome.
But that is pretty cool. I had a lot of people pointing that out. They would send me the pictures of that image from right underneath the OLM, looking straight up and seeing all 33 of the Raptors. And then I had my shirt on.
Yeah, I need to make a shirt design like that because you've gotten a lot of compliments on it today.
Yeah, and it just fortuitous with that picture too. It just, gotten a lot of attention.
Yep. Okay, Scott Carr, thank you for the super chat and for watching. I have a question. If it rains and water gets in between the tiles, then the tiles freeze when the propellant is loaded. Can the expanding water do damage to the tiles? Oh, and everybody go buy a t-shirt and support Ellie. Joe, I'm gonna that one.
Yeah, well, the question is if you get water underneath the tiles and between the tiles, maybe into some of that thermal blanket material, is it possible for it to kind of remain there in a liquid form, and then as on the ascent up, will it freeze? And maybe, as you know, ice expands. Would it be dangerous to the tiles? I think that there's a lot of expansion already put into place there. The pins that they put them on actually gives a little bit of float up, on the vertical away from the skin. And then there is a gap around the tiles as well. The reason why they do that is on reentry, as the tiles do heat up, that gap closes up. In fact, one of the things that they really have to be careful of is that they don't close up too much and then they touch each other and crack the tiles because of the heating.
Right.
So my guess is that for the most part, it's not really going to be that big of an issue. That being said, as they get more experience with the ship and the final tile designs, which is one of the reasons why you want to see this test flight today and get that data, I think they'll figure out, is there any areas that are of concern? Some of the other areas are glued on, essentially, so that would presumably not allow that water to get underneath it. So that's my thought on it. Hopefully that's
and I'm gonna
address it pretty
agree
good
with your answer.
Okay.
Than me.
What a good question.
So, and then do we know when SpaceX is starting? Oh, I guess I can look really quickly here when SpaceX is starting their stream.
Yeah, well,
starting theirs at 5:43.
Okay, so that should be right now. So we can see if SpaceX is up yet.
5:58 now.
5:58. So that's a 15-minute. So that's consistent with their 14-minute basically slip. So hopefully things will continue. Some of the milestones already, we should have already passed the 1 hour 15 propellant go no go decision. We did see a lot of the tank farm activity. We also saw, I'm looking off screen, just I can't tell right now, but we saw the OLM vent and the tower vent, which means that they were moving cryogenics through the pipe. So that was all seeming pretty positive. But then we heard that it was delayed. So we're kind of in that point where maybe they're looking at the weather again to decide, do we want to go now or not? Because once they start committing to putting the propellant into the ship and the booster, then it kind of ties their hands a little bit.
By the way, the CH4 or the methane or the Pope vent, how long has it been called the Pope vent? Because I had never heard you say that until this trip.
Oh.
And I want to, or maybe I just wasn't paying attention to you. I don't know. But I'm sure not everyone knows that. So fun little fact.
Yeah, it's one of the very first vents that you will see when they start bringing the tank farm up to function. And it has a lot of white condensation coming out of it. It looks like white smoke. And of course, if you're familiar with the Pope, when you get a white smoke coming out of a smokestack, it means that they picked the next Pope. So that is the Pope vent. And it's just an indication that the tank farm is starting to gear up.
Coming alive.
Yeah. And it's one of the very first things that you'll see.
How, I mean, is that used for other rockets other than Starship?
Well, other rockets use a variety of different systems. Like here, they use they have some of that so that they expend the oxygen out into the atmosphere because, I mean, we already have oxygen in the atmosphere, so it's not a pollutant. They also have, and it's escaping me right now, but they have, it's not a regeneration system, but it basically for the methane, it's able to capture it, bring it back, and then freeze it back down by putting it through pipes into, I don't know, it's kind of looks like a pig kind of thing where you have it in a bath of liquid nitrogen and the pipes go through. The nitrogen cools down the methane to recondense it, a recondenser, and then they can get that back. And we want to try to avoid putting methane as much as we can into the atmosphere. And then what you see is a lot of the condensation of the vapors coming off. That's the nitrogen has transferred the heat from the methane, and now the nitrogen is boiling off. So they need to put that to the air. And of course, the air is 78% nitrogen, so it's just putting it back where it came from.
I guess I'm asking, is Pope vent a rocket industry term, or is this unique?
I think it's here to Starship. Yeah.
Okay.
Some other places use,
like
yeah. Some other ones use, smokestack, not smokestacks, flame stacks, so that they burn it off. Blue Origin uses that, and others use just a variety of it. But that's what they do here at SpaceX. They used to have that flame to burn off some of the methane early on, but they got rid of that with the recondensers a while ago.
Yeah, well, there's your little fun fact for today, the Pope vent. And some of you guys are asking where the countdown clock is. SpaceX hasn't quite started their coverage. So they're going to start their stream in about 10 minutes from now, and then I will share the screen as well. People are saying, Ellie's in a flight suit. Why not Joe? Because Joe didn't know that
Ellie didn't tell me.
And I didn't know that I'd wear it. So I was going to wear it yesterday, and it was a little hot. And then today I was like, we need all the luck we can get.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if you know. I mean, you look at flight suits, especially the ones that I used when I was flying, and you think, well, that should be comfortable and everything. Tell you what, you actually get hot in those things.
It's hot, and it's you have to undress completely to go to the bathroom. That's at least for a woman. So that's that's a.
Oh, I almost had an Air Force joke, but I won't say it. I'm going to go off camera for just a second to see what's going on.
All right.
I'll be right back.
Great. All right, so where is everyone watching from today? And thank you so much for tuning in to the Ellie in Space channel for a little bit. I know that there's a lot of great coverage out there, including NSF, who we were watching before this. And let's hope that it actually goes today on a Monday. Once again, we unfortunately did not get a weekend launch. I know so many people wish that all these launches were on the weekend because it's easier to come. But let's see, I'm gonna.
Okay, so the latest is the new T0 is at 6:59 Central Daylight Time. That would be 23:59 UTC. So we're now slipped at 29 minutes, and most likely from what we have been hearing, it's about the weather. And I think what they're trying to do is just make sure they can thread the needle with the weather and not start that prop load until they're sure that they can go, so that they can, give them the maximum number of options.
Wow. Okay. Well, so that means time going to change here at SpaceX's live coverage. It's going to start at 6:13.
Yeah.
So.
So this is live. You're finding out, right?
Yeah,
You're finding out, but
this has just been pretty hectic.
So that gives them 31 minutes more in the window, so they could kind of continue to slip that a little bit. The window is 60 minutes. It runs to 7:30. Well, it is 60-minute window, runs to 7:30.
Yeah.
We already eaten up 29 minutes of that.
But they can pull it off. I mean, they've had 30-minute windows where they've.
I hope so.
To do it.
Well, I am making a presumption. They have been talking about the weather and watching that, but there are other things. There could be boats in the exclusion zone. They could be working some other stuff that we are unaware of now, too.
Right.
But I'm just looking out behind us to see if they have patrol boats that go up and down the channel, and then they go out into the Gulf, and they're looking to make sure everything is cleared. And I'm just looking to see if I see any of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's see. Do some public math. Call it 7 o'clock. So at 7 after 6, so in about 16 minutes would be theoretically when they start doing the methane flow into the ship. So we have about 15 roughly minutes to go.
Do you think, is your guess that this is purely weather right now? It's not something on the.
Well, they have said weather, so
Okay.
I think probably that. We're in that time of year where it's hot, it's very humid, and you can get that vertical development. And when that happens, you can create thunderstorms. So, when we look back out here, ironically, off to the Gulf and almost right over the launch site, it's got a lot of blue skies, just a little bit of clouds. But if we look more to the west, it darkens up a little bit more, a little bit more clouds. So, and it's not the fact that they have active rain or thunderstorms directly over. That's not so important. That it's that electrostatic, because it is possible for lightning to reach out from storms quite a distance and they want to make sure that it doesn't affect the Starship.
So-
We used to see that flying.
Let's say the lightning did affect it or reach it. Let's talk about what that would look like.
Well, you generally want to try to avoid that if you can. Famously, Saturn V on, I think it was Apollo. I'm not sure if it's Apollo 10 or 12, but on liftoff, a little bit after liftoff, it was hit by lightning, and they had to very rapidly figure out what to do with systems and get to an aux switch to turn it on so that they kept the power going so that the rocket would continue. Now, as far as rocket engines themselves, once they are lit, they're kind of a self-perpetuating machine because the act of the rocket working takes that and it depends on the design, but it can take some of that exhaust and turn the turbines, which pulls the fuel in, which makes the rockets work, and then it goes back and forth. So that can actually self-perpetuate. So it wasn't that they lost engines, but they lost electrical for everything else, their guidance and control and all that. So they were able to fix that. So you want to try to avoid that as much as possible. On airplanes, they use static electric wicks. They kind of look like rods that stick off the end of, say, flaps or the wings or that. And that helps dissipate some of the static electricity that would help bring in that electrostatic or lightning. I think I've seen a few of those on the Starship, not a whole lot because they would stick into the plasma and be burnt off.
Yeah.
But I think they have some ability to dissipate that static, but not as much as you would with a ship, an airplane. So they would like to avoid that as much as they can.
We have multiple people commenting Apollo 12.
Okay, Apollo 12. So I was pretty close. Sorry about that.
Fact checkers.
That's the thing about being on live, trying to bring up facts. Sometimes you're like, oh, what is that word?
Yes, yes.
But so at least you confirm my knowledge or my memory of that event. So thank you very much for that correction.
Yeah, thanks for all the corrections.
All right, SpaceX just posted. Starship team is go for prop load.
Woo!
So that is a great thing. That basically means if they're still on that time in about a little over 10 minutes, we should start seeing methane going into the ship. This is a critical decision that they've made, as we've said before, is once they start putting the propellant, the oxygen into the ship and boosters, it kind of ties their hand as far as if they have to go to another day, what it takes to recover all of those cryogenics. So this is actually a very good sign. We were talking earlier, even maybe about 5 minutes or so before they were supposed to do the original poll. We saw a lot of the tank farm activity. We saw the OLM vent. We saw the tower vent going, and it was kind of like they were leaning forward to try to make that decision. So it looks like they really, really do want to go. And they probably talked to their weather officers and they said, hey, if you delay 20, 25 minutes, whatever it is, your opportunity is going to be better. So that's what they've done. So with this go for prop load,
It's true.
that's cool.
So Joe, I like this comment. We have, I only emerge after dark. Ellie or Joe, newbie here. What is the purpose of the proposed launch?
What is the purpose of this launch here?
Yes, of this launch. Survive.
Yes, well,
We're really focused on the ship.
right. Well, the Starship is a system of three main parts. One of them is the ground systems, and we see that they had some issues with that they had to work through. And even though this is the older system, they're still getting information and experience that's going on for the next one. So they're gaining information that way. They have the booster, and the boosters have actually, even with the V2s, have been performing pretty well. We've had 3 catches. One of them could have been a catch, but it was a tower issue.
We're not going to have a catch today.
No catch today.
No catch.
Yeah, so what they did with the last one, what they're going to do with this one for sure, is they're experimenting with these older boosters, and they're going to try to see aerodynamically how much angle of attack that they can put to basically try to use the atmosphere to slow down more, save some fuel, and you make the atmosphere do the work for you. And they're also going to be doing some engine out testing, simulating what happens if they don't have the center ones running and all that.
If he's a newbie or we have newbies, let's break it down even more.
Okay.
Higher angle of attack. What
Okay.
does that mean?
All right, well, you can imagine, like if my phone was the booster coming down, if it's coming straight down along the longitudinal axis of the booster and the relative wind, or in this case, the velocity vector of it falling, if they're lined up exactly, your angle of attack is 0, which means that your interaction with the atmosphere for the most part is the bottom part of the ship. So it's or the booster, it's actually a small surface area. So it doesn't give the atmosphere a lot to try to slow it down. But if you start tilting it over, and now you have more of the body into that relative wind or that velocity vector, you're distributing more of that atmospheric effect along the entire length of the booster. And because of that, you're giving the atmosphere more chance to do work on the booster to slow it down. So theoretically, if you could do a belly flop, that would be the maximum that you could probably do, or at least so that it's perpendicular to that velocity vector. But when you do that, you put a lot of stresses onto the booster itself. And that's what happened on the previous one is they went to something called a 17-degree angle of attack at their maximum amount. And when they did that, they basically had a bending moment. So the bottom of the booster started trying to bend up more than the top. And you also have a mass distribution because you have more of the engines at the bottom and you don't have very much fuel in the tanks. So the center fuel transfer pipe on the inside that brings the methane down through the oxygen tank to the engines ended up breaking. And so it mixed that together with the oxygen, and that's obviously not good, and it caused a big boom. So what they're experimenting with is how much can they do the angle of attack to let the atmosphere do more of the work so they can have less propellant. And then they either have less propellant so you have more payload, or you could just have less propellant in general for whatever mission that you do.
So if you could like pretend that this was the angle of attack last time and then how they're going to modify it this time.
All right, so now they're going to not go quite as much. Okay. So they're going to still experiment with
learner.
There you go. So instead of going at 17 degrees, they're going to go maybe 12 or so. And they're going to try to experiment with that. Now, the next generation of the booster has got a completely different design, and they've already taken to this account because they want to use the atmosphere more. So a long discussion on the booster. As far as the ship, the basic profile is get up to near orbit, do some simulated satellite deployments, a demonstration again of a deorbit burn. But the biggest thing is to do that re-entry. And these are so important because they need to be able to do something with the Starship. So deploying payloads is important.
Yep.
They need to be able to do the deorbit burn and be confident in that so that they can actually go to orbit, so that they know that they're not going to strand a Starship and have a uncommanded or uncontrolled reentry. So that's not, so they have to do that. And the biggest thing is to have that controlled reentry because they need the data to test the tiles. And they're testing a variety of different tiles. And they're using that data to decide what they need for the next version of the ships.
Yeah,
and that's
their biggest issue.
Yes,
they still haven't been able to troubleshoot or try these experiments because we've had 7, 8, and 9 essentially. Just never got to that point.
Well, what's frustrating, it's not that something went wrong and they got bad data, is they've got no data.
Nothing.
So that's
red. Rip.
So hopefully that answers your question. I hope I didn't go too deep. I'm sorry.
I think sometimes, we never know who's watching, and there's some people who are hardcore nerds, and then you have people that maybe they're just interested and they're just tuning in for the first time. So I think it's good to sometimes back it up. I
appreciate that. I have a bad tendency of being a geek and going into the details.
But you explained it very well, and I just want to point out to you, Joe, my climbing partner is watching.
Oh, okay.
And she actually was here for the one that we missed. She got to see, randomly decided to see a Flight 5 with the first booster catch. So I'm very jealous, but yes, I selfishly want it to launch too, so I can go back to my rock climbing.
Right.
But thank you, Natalia, for watching. And yeah, I know it's tough. People have work and obligations, and it's SpaceX wants it to go. We want it to go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go.
And we talked yesterday, is they put so much effort into making this happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, from a standpoint of preparing, I don't know what else they could do. I mean, they put so many people onto it. They've redesigned parts of the ship based on the last one and what happened with Ship 36 at Massey's. And besides that, is they have a whole factory full of the next generation ships and boosters that they really want to start working on. So we need a success. I think the team needs a success, but we also need to get through the V2s and get onto the V3s.
Absolutely. And let's see where we're at right now.
So SpaceX should be about, what, 10 minutes before they start their live stream. We should be about 5 minutes away from methane going into the ship, based again on that 6:59 launch time, and hopefully that will hold. So.
And thank you, Bill, for the super chat, hoping for a successful launch and a complete mission. Yeah, I mean, I hope they launch, but I really do also hope that they finally have a successful V2. My goodness. I mean, they deserve it at this point.
I think so, but you know.
Here's what's interesting too. I just realized, right? When I interviewed Elon, I asked him, so for SpaceX, is it fourth time's a charm? Because we look back to Falcon 1 and they had 3 attempts and they were all not successful and they were going to call it. I mean, you know, some people would have called it at that point. And then they had flight 4 actually work out. And so here we have the V2s. We're on flight 4.
So maybe it is.
Maybe for SpaceX, it's not third time's the charm. It's the fourth.
Well, you know, there's actually more of an
analogy.
Yeah. There's more of an analogy with that too. Is the 4th flight of Falcon 1 nearly ended in disaster on its transport.
Correct.
And my classmate, a friend of mine, Ann Chinnery, was on that plane and was part of the people that figured out how to fix that rocket and be able to launch it.
Let's tell people what we're talking about, because not everyone has read Liftoff. But basically, when SpaceX was in the very, very early days, the very beginning, when people kind of laughed at this idea that a private company would be able to get a rocket into orbit, they were doing their testing on a very remote area called the Kwajalein Atoll.
Kwajalein Atoll, Omelek Island.
Omelek Island. And so they had 3 Falcon 1 test flights that were not successful. They had the 4th flight that they were in the negative. They not only needed this to work, you know, some people, like I said, wouldn't have had the money or the courage to try this. And it was when they were transporting, was it the ship or the booster?
Well, it was just all together.
Okay.
And it was on the C-17 and they were.
From where to where?
I think it was California over to Kwajalein.
Right.
You know, and I think as they started their descent, the rocket didn't have a way of depressurizing as you came in. So it started to crumple. And they had to stop the descent, go back up, and then try to figure out how to open up some valves to equalize the pressure. And somebody actually had to crawl inside where they're not supposed to be to get to that point to open up the valve.
What a hero.
Yeah.
Like, if that wouldn't have worked out,
we wouldn't have any of
this. And from what I read in Eric's book, the pilots were like, whoa.
Yeah,
like,
well,
we just dumped this.
Yeah, from the standpoint of the pilots, like, what, this rocket's going to do what to my plane? Do we even want it in the plane?
You're a pilot, so what would have been your reaction hearing, this?
My reaction would have been, let's level off, let's get up to an altitude where it's stable, and let's figure out what is it going to do. Is it safe to continue to fly with this or not? And since they're in a C-17, they did have the option of expelling it through the back if they needed to. So, I mean, it was very, very close.
And then they were able, that was the only one that they had. So they had to refurb it or make it work.
Right. So that's why I say that there's these parallels, because for this flight to go, think of what they've had to do. They had Ship 36 do its thing. They had to figure out a workaround with the Massey's testing site. That didn't work. They had to come up with a unique solution to use the orbital launch mount to be able to do the static fires for the ship, and which it was never designed to do. And now we're here ready to launch. So hopefully the parallels will continue.
Well, Arnie says this is not a donation, but thanks for the $2 super chat. And thank you to Jake. Please say hi to James. He is a frustrated astronaut. Who is James?
Oh, okay. I'm being told off camera, just take a look at the tower, what's going on. They are doing the tower vent. That's a good sign, because that means that the cryogenics are going up through the pipes up the tower, getting ready to go to the ship. And we're real close to that time where we would expect to start seeing the propellant going into the ship. So hopefully that is another positive sign. And as soon as the SpaceX feed comes up, I know Ellie will be able to bring that on, and we can see that.
It's not quite ready yet. I think 6:13. So
right.
Unfortunately, you're not going to really see much from.
The sad thing is we, with our eyes, I can see it really well right behind me, but with the way the camera does it, it makes it so little small. And I don't think this live stream format that we're using gives us the ability to do that zoom in, unfortunately.
Nope. We need more resources, and
Yeah.
more cameras, and
What
more
was it?
people.
Flight 8?
It was
where we had some amazing
Hollywood
photographers.
level
Yeah.
cameras, thanks to Scott Balcom.
Balcom, yeah.
Balcom.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah, he had those red cameras, which are like super high line.
The craziest footage. I was like, what the heck? This is nuts. It was cinematic. It really was.
Yeah, it was not only that, but we could like zoom in and almost see the weld on the ship. It was crazy. But we don't quite have that right now, but hopefully, you know, with what we're able to talk to you about and what we're going to get here with the SpaceX feed, we'll get a lot more visual.
Apparently our audio is amazing, which by the way, I'm not sponsored by them. I wish I was, because if there's one product that I use on the regular and believe in, it's these DJI mics.
Yeah.
DJI. So I'm going to show them to you. I'm not sponsored. So you can get a rechargeable case. The battery lasts very long. These windscreens are just incredible. I mean, it is windy down here in South Texas, and you guys can hear me just fine. And they connect via Bluetooth to your phone. So there's a receiver that you hook into your phone. And anyway, I just highly recommend them, even if you're like not a full-time content creator. If you ever want to film any content, the problem with those little cheaper mics, because I think this case is $300, but you know, it lasts forever. The problem with the $40 clip-on mics or whatever, they tend to overmodulate. So you have to whisper, or else they are going to clip and sound too loud, and there's no way to correct that really in post. So anyway, if you guys want good quality mics, these are great mics. And they should sponsor me. They should literally sponsor me.
They should.
But maybe they don't need help because they're such good mics.
Wow. Well, one thing I just noticed, again, it's hard for you to see, but I can look out and the tower vent is going, again, I was telling you about the cryogenics go through the pipes, but the thing that stands out to me is that that vent is pointing almost directly at us right now, which means that the predominant wind is from the south to the north, which means that if there is a launch, it will help accentuate the sound of that launch itself, because it's helping to blow those sonic waves towards us. So that should be pretty cool.
Well, Steve wants to know, what's the story about what I'm wearing? So I was actually lucky enough to win a 0G flight, which that particular one was like a $15,000 ticket.
Wow.
Like, what the heck?
Wow.
Because we not only, you know, had the 0G flight, but we had Nicole Stott and Doug Hurley, and then a
Who are
moonwalker.
astronauts,
And then a moonwalker, actually, Charlie Duke.
which is pretty cool.
Nuts. So, you know, but $15, I'm not going to spend that.
By the
on
way,
this
Charlie Duke is one of, I think, 5 remaining Apollo era astronauts. And he's,
5 or 4 now.
I think it's 5, and he's the youngest, and he's about to turn 90.
Wow. Well, he was lovely.
Mm-hmm.
And he did not get sick. Meanwhile, I did. Don't worry, I've washed this. But anyway, this is why I have the suit. And I was like, I don't know, maybe it'd be fun to wear a flight suit. And so that's why I have it. But got it from my 0G flight. And then I also fashioned these patches onto it. So we have Starship, and then a, what is this?
Falcon 9 Dragon, CRS-2.
CRS, yeah, commercial resupply, right?
Yes. And we should be into ship propellant loading. Methane should be going into it. We are about 49 minutes from the new T0 time, which means that in about 4 minutes, liquid oxygen should start flowing into the ship. And the importance of that is where we had the problem on yesterday. As that liquid oxygen started flowing through that pipe, it started to spring a leak, and that's what they had to fix overnight, which was quite the amount of effort to do. So we're right at that same point, or very, very close to that same point yesterday. So this is a good point, the milestone, to see how we're going to do.
And SpaceX will be starting their coverage in about 3 minutes or 2 minutes. So I will be able to actually share, you know, their visuals. That way we have good visuals.
The good news is I'm looking off camera to a different camera, and they're showing a close-up of the ship quick disconnect, which they just fixed. And so far, it doesn't look like we're seeing any leaks. So fingers crossed.
I guess we have to cross our toes.
Okay, cross everything. Yeah.
Everything.
Yes. And I do have confirmation that methane is flowing into the ship.
I thought he was telling us to wrap it up.
No. We have somebody off camera helping us with some of the information, and he's speaking aviation.
Yeah.
I speak that language, and She does not.
So what is this spinning up?
It means that methane is flowing. Yeah, there you go.
Well, I just learned some sign language yesterday, so I'm gonna tell you something.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
I don't
what
know.
did I just say?
Sounds almost like a horse.
Okay, that's not what I said. I'm actually curious if anyone knows.
I don't know. While you do that, I'm going to check off camera just to see what's going on. I'll be right back.
Okay. No, I'm seeing bad words. I'm seeing bad words. I don't know why people keep saying these things, so let me double check before I. Let's see here.
We said nothing. How started.
I'm seeing comments that are not.
Oh, we've seen that before where people
I know,
made a
that's
bunch of
why-
comments.
That's
So
why I'm like, is it real or not?
we'll try to do the real stuff. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, no, it's not actually a bad word. It's just an unlucky word that we don't say. It starts with an S.
well, the SpaceX feed is live now, or at least the intro
Okay,
part.
great,
So that's coming up.
I'm
And
gonna.
we'll let Ellie configure her computer to show you what's going on with that. It's just sort of the intro screen, and SpaceX just sent out a post saying that that's the case. So I don't think they would do that if something was preventing the prop load. So based on the time, we should be right at the LOX starting to flow into the ship. So that would continue for another 5 minutes. And then after that, we should start seeing the booster getting its propellant added in. So I think we're still on track, at least from what I can tell.
Well, people are wondering what my gesture was, so I just want to follow it up. So apparently, if you make a C, and then this can mean hungry. If you go like this. So if I gesture you like I'm asking you, it's like, are you hungry?
Oh.
Then it's like, oh, I'm hungry. I'm.
And if you go,
I don't know. So anyway, that's what I learned yesterday. Hopefully it's right.
All right. Well, the good news is we're seeing frost lines on the ship, which is consistent with both the oxygen and the methane. The thing about the methane is because the common dome is bold shape. It needs to fill that up quite a bit to be able to start seeing the frost line. So that means that there's a decent amount of methane already in there with the LOX coming up, and we are very close to where I would expect to start seeing the booster starting to get some of its cryogenics.
Well, and other good news, thank you to Truth Tom for the generous super chat. Thank you, Ellie and Mr. Mayor.
Oh.
You. For always being there for us. So we try.
Yeah.
And thank you for watching. Thanks for choosing some of our coverage.
Exactly.
There's a lot of amazing streams out there. So
there are, but the cool thing is not only does that give you a bunch of choices, but it just shows how the community comes together and is very excited about what we're seeing here. We're seeing the future being developed right in front of our eyes, and
these wonderful shots from SpaceX's opening here.
Exactly. Well, they cheat. They get to have good views inside the facility, but yeah, of course, there's the Cybertruck. You mentioned me being the mayor. The Cybertruck group kind of made me the honorary mayor of Cyber Beach, which is the beach here at Starbase.
Love it.
But this is great that's continuing. So I'm excited about what is going on with that. Definitely having a frost line now on the ship, so that's a great sign. And again, with their time, we're about 45 minutes from liftoff. So yeah, we should start seeing a bunch of cryogenics going into the booster pretty soon. It starts at about 45 minutes, and then the next part of that is at 38 minutes. And then after that, the next big thing, other than seeing the frost line growing on the ship, is at 19 minutes and 40 seconds. That's when they start doing the Raptor chill. So we'll just keep watching that timeline and see how things are progressing.
Well, thank you, Michael, as well, for a very super generous super chat. Yeah. Thank you so much. for the generous super chat. I really do mean it.
All right. Well, here's a funny thing. So looking on the SpaceX feed, Dan Watt, who is doing their commentary, shaved most of his beard. So that is a departure from the past. So maybe that's a positive sign.
I also want to say that a bucket list would be if someday you and I could guest commentate.
That would be
SpaceX.
awesome. That would be
You
cool.
could guest drone fly.
That would be
I could
nice.
guest host. I'm just putting it out there in the universe.
Well, I do have some ideas of what drone images would look like or what you could do to get some epic shots on launch. So I would love to give that a shot.
Okay.
And I would tell the SpaceX guys, but I want to give my trade secrets away. I want to be the one doing it.
Well, thank you for Ricker as well for your super chat. Hello, Miss Ellie from Arizona. Hope you score another Elon Musk post-launch interview. Please ask about what long-term living infrastructure prep is ongoing. Well, I can say I have attempted to ask on this trip. I have not yielded results yet. However, as far as long-term living infrastructure, I don't know if he's talking about the employees, but we did drive by Rio West today.
Yeah.
And see a little bit of that.
Yeah,
That's
that's more of the Starbase infrastructure because they are growing this. I mean, despite what Elon told you, they're not really building a city now.
Well, that was a year ago. I guess that.
Yeah, but it is starting a city, so and it is growing a lot. They're bringing a lot of the employees in with their families, so they need that infrastructure. So Rio West is where they're putting in the housing community to support a lot more of those people. Now, I think the viewer's question may have been, what about on Mars or so forth? It's hard to say for sure. I was kind of hoping that the technical update might include some of that, but that never really happened yesterday. About the best we got was
they got Elon.
Oh yeah, there's Elon. So
we got a rocket about to get off the pad, but let's start people off like high level. Like, why are we here? What the hell are we doing here?
Well, I don't know about everybody, but I'm here to try to build into the future that I imagined and dreamed of as a child, where starships with people are out among the stars exploring the universe.
Yeah, so the why, it's always important to explain the why of things. And the why of Starship is that we want to be a multi-planet species to extend consciousness beyond Earth, I think for two main reasons. One is to ensure the long-term survival and prosperity of life as we know it in consciousness, which if we are a multi-planet species and ultimately a multi-stellar species out there among the stars, the probability of survival is much, much longer. That's kind of the, defensive aspect or life insurance for life collectively. But then there also need to be things that are inspiring and exciting and that give you reason to live. Life cannot just be about solving one tragic problem after another. There must be also reasons to get up in the morning and be excited about the future. And a future where we are a spacefaring civilization is infinitely more exciting than one where we are not.
And we're doing it all pretty unique location. I mean, the pad's behind us. We got rocket on the tower. We got another tower with it. We're sitting inside Star Factory. And I mean, it wasn't like this for very long. This is all pretty brand new.
Yeah, I think we moved Starship here in about the early part of 2019. So we've been coming that entire time and seeing the site evolve from a double wide trailer and a tent where we built Starhopper to the first suborbital test flights. And now we have behind us 2 towers for the first time as we build towards the first operational flight from the second tower at the end of this year. And this beautiful building, 1 million square feet, where we're able to work towards a production line of Starships.
Yeah, the SpaceX team has done an incredible job of building out really the most advanced rocket manufacturing facility that has ever existed. This is far beyond any rocket fabrication facility that has ever been built. This is essentially alien level technology, and it was all built here basically down by the Rio Grande River and close to the beach. It's an incredibly improbable location. And this used to be a sandbar. I think we're about, 3 feet or about 1 meter above sea level. It really was nothing. If you see the time lapse from sandbar to two launch towers and a gigantic rocket factory with high bays, and we're going to be building something called the Gigabay, which is like one of the largest enclosed volumes on Earth. So it's sort of like a gigantic Borg cube that we're going to be building here for building and storing these gigantic rockets. It's really spectacular, and anyone can come and visit. So because we're on a public highway, and we're literally by a public beach, you can actually come and see the rocket. You quite close up. I mean, you can drive past it, and you can also look at the factory. And anyone could do this from anywhere in the world. So you can come and visit and check it out. So I think it's pretty cool that it's
Just not right now.
just not right now.
Just not right
Obviously
now.
not when we're launching because there's some safety issues, but the rocket's often just sitting on the pad without any propellant in it, and then you can just come here and visit. It's very easy.
Yeah, I think it's a really special place. Yesterday, the ship went down the road behind us, and I saw families outside going for on Sunday going for their Sunday stroll, and they were greeted by Starship going down. And I think that from the very beginning, the thing about Starship different than Falcon and other rockets that I'm aware of is we designed it to be mass-produced and mass-produced at scale. And it's not about building one Starship and getting to orbit once. It's about doing it in a sustained and rapid way.
Yeah, we're aiming for ultimately thousands of ships to be built per year, which is what's needed in order to construct a city on Mars that is self-sustaining. And the major fork in the road of destiny will be when the Mars city is capable of surviving, even if the resupply ships from Earth stop coming for any reason. And that reason could be something cataclysmic, or it could be that that civilization simply subsided. There's always this debate throughout history of will civilization end with a bang or a whimper. But either way, if the critical thing is to get to the point where Mars is self-sustaining and can survive even if the resupply ships stop coming for any reason, which means that you need to build an entire base of industry on Mars in order for Mars to survive. For example, it's not simply enough to build a chip, like a computer chip factory, but you need the ability to build computer chip factories. So this is going to really take a lot of tonnage. I mean, my guess is at least 1 million tons to the surface of Mars, and maybe it takes less than that, but it's going to be a lot. But this is a very exciting future. It's one which will ensure the long-term survival and prosperity of life and consciousness, and it's the critical stepping stone to get from this solar system to other star systems, and perhaps go out there and explore, and perhaps we'll encounter alien civilizations that maybe they're alive now, or maybe they enjoyed a period of prosperity for millions of years but also died out millions of years ago. So it's humbling to think of the age of the universe, according to the standard model of physics, being approximately 13.8 billion years old. So an incremental million years would be 3 digits past the decimal point. And if you look at, say, our civilization and measure our civilization by the first evidence of writing, which is about 5,500 years ago, civilization as measured from the first writing is only 1/1,000,000th of Earth's existence.
Or blip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flash in the pan so far.
Yeah. Well, we're getting some cool shots. Rocket out on the pad right now. We tell people, like, come down, see it. It's hard to get like a sense of scale of just how massive this thing is. And we were able to catch somebody working on it a little while ago. And like part of the reason you said we're sending millions of tons, that's kind of why this thing is so massive. I think in this image, Dan,
you can actually see the person working at the bottom of the ship. And as we zoom out, you see the full ship, that sort of two-tone silver and black, and then the booster below it, right? And it really sets the scale, which doesn't come across, I think, other than in person. And when I do tours, I like to say Starship is real, Starship is big, and Starship is really big.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you can see there, and with the factory shots you saw earlier, again, we've got Flight 10 on the pad, but we got many more behind it.
Yeah, so I posted a video yesterday of just a brief scan of part of the Starship factory, and you can get a sense of the scale of the factory. Yeah, I guess we could talk a bit about why Starship is the way it is. Like, for example, why is half of the ship black and half of it is silver colored, and that's because the bottom half of the ship, the bottom as seen from orbital entry, has a heat shield on it. So the black there is the heat shield, and then the core structure of the rocket is a special alloy of stainless steel, and that's where you see the sort of shiny silver parts are stainless steel. The reason for steel over aluminum is that the heat of atmospheric entry and the heat of the rocket engines is enough to easily melt aluminum, but steel is much more resilient against both ascent heating, but especially the reentry heating. And you don't have to paint it, which is actually very difficult to paint a large object that is going through cryogenic cycles and have the paint stay on. It's quite challenging.
And so we've talked about it. It's massive. It obviously takes a whole lot of energy to make that thing move. And that's where Raptor really starts to come in. Most advanced engine on the planet. Giant
Yes.
lightsaber.
No, that's a lightsaber and a half. You would get vaporized in an instant if you were standing in front of Raptor. So, yeah, burnt to a crisp in less than a second. So in order to create a fully reusable orbital rocket, you have to advance the state of the art in every part of the rocket. That means the engines have to be better than any engine ever. The structure's got to be better than any structure ever. You've got to you've got to have a means of bringing the rocket back to the launch pad. You've got to have a fully reusable orbital heat shield, and that no one has ever made a fully reusable orbital heat shield. The space shuttle, for example, required 9 months of refurbishment between flights. So the space shuttle heat shield would come back essentially partially broken and would require many months of refurbishment in order to fly again. What we're trying to achieve here with Starship is to have a heat shield that can be flown immediately. So the ship, both the ship and the booster, would be caught by the tower arms, and the booster would be placed immediately back on the launch stand, and the ship's got to orbit Earth at least once, but then could be back potentially in one orbit, but in most cases several orbits. So the ship would come back several hours later, but then be caught by the arms and placed on top of the booster. You could also have multiple ships ready so that a single booster could service 5 or more ships, so that you could be flying the booster in theory every hour. This is kind of a profoundly fast speed, obviously, for the largest flying object by far ever made. But it's the reason why we catch the booster with the tower arms, and the ship also will be caught with the tower arms, because that's the fastest way to get the booster and the ship back to flight. If we had instead put landing legs, which we have done before for the ship tests, we actually had landing legs that flipped down, and the ship we've successfully demonstrated landing with legs. But if you do that, if we were to do that with the booster and the ship, here we'd have to land somewhere else with the legs, then lift the rocket, stow the legs, transport the rocket back to the pad, which is very unwieldy when you've got a gigantic thing. Then it would be picked up by these tower arms and placed in the launch mount. That would delay the reusability dramatically and would add a lot of mass with the landing legs. So that's why we catch the rocket with the tower arms, because it's the same tower arms that put the rocket in the launch mount are used to catch the rocket. And that means that we can put the booster back in the launch mount in less than an hour after liftoff. In fact, the booster is going to come back very fast. Like, 5 or 6 minutes later, this booster is coming back one way or another, or not coming back. So then you really have propellant full time, which can be brought down to about 30, 40 minutes. And that means it is theoretically possible to fly the booster again in less than an hour.
I think when I think about it, it's the jet drives up to the jetway, the people get off, new people get on, and it leaves. You don't want to land the jet on a different airfield and then tow it over to the jetway. So it's just operationally simpler and faster.
Yeah, we've had a lot of success with the booster, 3 for 3 on the catch attempts. When we bring it back, we've reflown one, so awesome. And then again, Starship superpowers, the whole thing is reusable. So ship reusability is like what we're working on right now. We've been able to get some really spectacular reentries on a couple of flights, hoping to get this one for reentry on the V2 ship. But yeah, that fully reusable heat shield, that thing that has just never been done before. That's one of the things we're really looking for that data on.
Yeah, I mean, there are thousands of engineering challenges that remain for both the ship and the booster, but maybe the single biggest one is the reusable orbital heat shield. We are confident in making a fully reusable orbital heat shield, but it will require many flights, many iterations to figure out where the weak points are in the heat shield, where we need to change the design, either strengthening the tile or changing how big the gap is between tiles, changing what's underneath the tile. There's 100 different variables that we could tweak with the ship tiles, the heat shield tiles. But the only way to know exactly what we should be adjusting is to fly repeatedly and be able to examine the ship upon landing. And we have successfully brought the ship back through the atmosphere and achieved a soft landing multiple times. So we know that this is possible, but we have in the process shed many heat shield tiles. So we need to be able to do this without shedding heat shield tiles and do so repeatedly.
And I think what you're seeing now is the Starship. This is CG of it coming in and landing on the tower, much like the booster, but there's some additional challenges there where we need to make sure we don't scrape the tiles off as we slide along the chopstick
we can't
arm.
shuck the heat shield.
Don't crush the ship.
Rapid reusability.
If we shuck the tiles, then that's obviously going to fail the reusability test.
So ships can use the tower to land and catch like the booster here on Earth where towers are available. And for our initial landings on Mars and other planets, we'll need landing legs that deploy much like what you're seeing here with Ship 15 when we did our suborbital test to prove out the precision descent landing, which was a successful test. We actually landed two. One was we were able to actually recover it, and you can see it here in the Rocket Garden if you visit Starbase.
Yeah, so the Rocket Garden that Bill mentioned, we have actually a whole bunch of boosters and ships, and we'll be adding to them over time. So you can see an evolution of Starship just by driving down the highway.
Yeah, so reusability is key. There's some other technologies we're still looking to prove out. Really big one is going to be the on-orbit refilling. Looking to do that next year, and that's really what's going to kind of unlock, Starship going everywhere else, going everywhere beyond Earth. And that's something that's, again, never been done before, kind of like that reusable orbital heat shield, but it's going to be something that's kind of some of the other secret sauce to Starship, where we're going to be able to send hundreds of tons per ship to Mars.
Yeah, I like to think of it as if we get to orbit with a full cargo bay, but we're empty on fuel and oxygen. So basically, we're running on fumes. Then we send other ships to dock, transfer propellant. And now we made our two-stage rocket look like a many, many multi-stage rocket. And we get all of that performance. And we can take that full cargo bay now wherever we want to go.
Yeah, so a crucial technology that we hope to demonstrate next year is this orbital refilling, much like aerial refueling. It's essential for being able to send significant payload to Mars. So you essentially send a ship to orbit with a few hundred tons of payload, sort of a filled payload bay. But once it gets to orbit, the tanks will be mostly empty, and then you send up additional tanker ships to refill the Mars ship's tanks, so that it can thrust from Earth orbit to Mars and have enough propellant left for landing. So this is orbital refilling is also not something that's ever been demonstrated before. So that would be a brand new technology. We obviously have at SpaceX figured out how to dock repeatedly with the space station. So in a lot of ways, this is like docking, and in some ways it's easier in that SpaceX is docking with its with its own craft, but no one has ever demonstrated propellant transfer in orbit, to the best of our knowledge, and so this would be propellant transfer at a very large scale. And but with full reusability and propellant transfer, those are the key technologies needed for building a city on Mars. And I'm confident that the SpaceX team, which is incredibly talented, will achieve these goals, and we will be landing ships on Mars in the future and building life on Mars, building greenhouses and life on Mars, and ensuring the long-term survival of life as we know it. And it's important to note here that obviously, we are effectively stewards of life here on Earth. That the other creatures cannot build spacecraft and get to other planets. So if there were to be a cataclysmic event, like a giant meteor that destroyed the dinosaurs, or ultimately the sun will expand to envelop Earth and destroy all life, we know this is an undisputed fact. Then if we don't take life to another planet, life will be destroyed. So it's incumbent upon us to ensure that we do bring life to other planets and ensure the long-term survival of life as we know it on planet Earth.
And I mean, aside from that, there's so much that Starship unlocks by being able to do these things. Like, we'll be able to go to Mars, but there are other just transformational things by being able to take that many people, that much stuff to space for that much less money.
Yeah, I mean, I think like understanding our planet better, being able to move people around the planet, make it feel smaller and more accessible. You could go anywhere on the Earth, in less than 40 minutes, basically, in terms of flight time. So I really do see Starship as being this thing that can connect us, just like Starlink connects our information. This can connect us more physically.
Yeah. So there's really nothing faster than a rocket. Really, an orbital rocket is the fastest thing that we know of of the fastest means of transport. So, like, you could go from LA to Sydney in less than half an hour. You could go LA to Tokyo in less than half an hour. You could go from New York to Singapore in half an hour. Everything's roughly half an hour, basically. Some things might be 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sign me up for that, please. All right, cool.
Cross the Atlantic in 10 minutes, no problem.
Please, yes, sign me up.
You're going 25 times the speed of sound, so that's 30 times faster than a commercial aircraft.
And it's a whole hell of a lot better view.
Yeah, it's a hell of a view.
Yeah. All right, cool. Anything else, guys? Anything else?
Well,
you're
I mean,
really excited
we
about
could
coming
say a
out?
lot more.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go check in on the rocket
Yeah.
and get
All
on
right,
console.
we're going to go back on console to hopefully the weather supports the launch tonight. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, and yeah, thanks for your support.
Thanks for crashing, guys.
All right.
Wow. All right.
All right. Well, interesting. I would say that what I liked the most was the drone team's shots. They did really great job, and they're still doing that. So I enjoy the views.
I would say that I learned nothing new. However, it was nice to see Elon there and
Yes.
on screen, but I don't really think there was anything new if that was the technical talk.
Yeah, if it was, I don't think very many people would be satisfied because, when you say technical to an audience like
Yeah.
you have,
We know all
it would
that.
be really much more technical than that. But
We know the booster comes fast out of the sky. We know why it has tiles on one side and it's shiny on the other side.
yeah, well, I guess
I know that.
that's why you have Ellie in space, is that she can fill in all of that
It's
information.
like, oh man.
Well, the good thing is
bingo card.
yeah. Speaking of the launch, real quick, just we did pass a milestone. The engine chill should have begun for the booster, so that is a great sign, and we can see quite a bit of frost on both the booster and the ship. So that is proceeding. We have about 15 more minutes of propellant loading before we start getting to the next big milestones where they start topping it off. But
we're almost exactly 18 minutes from the launch.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So if everything goes, if the weather cooperates, less than 20 minutes, we should see a launch. And
hard to be quiet.
it was, but it's good. At least it's good we hear from him. There's a lot that you could unpack on that. One of the things that stands out to me is, some of your viewers may or may not know, my background included aerial refueling. I was a pilot in the Air Force for air refueling. And it is a critical part of our national military capability is that, and it would be the same for orbital refueling. The thing that I think they glossed over is that you're going to need a lot of tanker missions. The Mars, he had mentioned, have a ship go up there. It has a couple of 100 tons of payload, but it's almost empty and you need to fill it up to go to Mars. Well, you're going to need about 6 to 10, depending on how much propellant is left over in each of the tanker variants per mission to Mars. So if you send one to Mars, you're looking at a minimum of 7 launches. So imagine if you send 10, now we're looking at, 70 launches. And we are looking at maybe seeing flight 10. So just imagine what that operational tempo is going to have to be, the number of ships that they're going to have to build. And ultimately, the number of boosters, they will be able to get away with a relatively small number because they'll be reusing them a lot. The ships are going to be kind of purpose built for whatever mission they're going to go on. But the ones that they're going to need a lot of are the tanker variants. And that's something we haven't really seen yet. And that's something that they really need to not only show that they can do it next year, but also that they can produce those and then be able to test that out and refine the ability of taking 2 massive ships and bringing them together and docking them in a way that you can then transfer fuel in a microgravity environment. So I think they kind of glossed over a little bit of that. I was hoping to get a lot more detail on, for example, that.
Well, why was he giving like the OG Starship pitch of point to point? It's like, dude, we're like not.
I don't know. I mean, there is interest within the military of the point to point. The idea is you could rapidly get something somewhere. But there are a lot of problems with that. One, you need to go to a permissive location, which means some place that they're not shooting at you or whatever. 2, you need to go to a place that's prepared enough for you to land on. And 3 is most likely, I mean, you're going to be landing with it pretty empty. So you need to be able to fill it back up unless it's a one-time thing. So there's a lot more to it. And not to mention the sound. I mean, we see the effect here when we have a sonic boom coming back. You're going to see that each time it comes back. Loading people on there and point to point in 30 minutes sounds awesome, but the amount of G's and everything that people are going to go through, it's not going to be like an airliner flight. So, so we're looking off camera at a cat. Okay.
All right. Well, we are 15 minutes away, just about. So.
So what did you guys out there think about that? What we heard from Elon and SpaceX?
Sure, it was interesting. Nuke Mars.
Yeah.
We were going to occupy or.
Yeah. Well, that goes to the whole terraforming
Yeah.
thing, and terraforming is a way of changing a planet into habitable space. And one of the ideas is you nuke the poles and melt the ice and get,
Yes, you could.
maybe, but I don't know. That's probably got some issues.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what do you guys think about what you heard? Let us know in the comments, or if you have any questions. We've still got about, I don't know, 9 minutes or so. And
some of y'all are saying, where is the SpaceX stream? It is right there on screen.
It should be on screen. That's what you're seeing.
We are the small box. They are the large box.
Yeah.
And then you have their hosts that we're muting because maybe people want to listen to us. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe people want to listen. Most people are, but some of my diehard fans are here, and I really appreciate you guys watching our stream because it's interesting too. We're already at flight 10 and it's like, wow, I can't believe we're in the double digits, but it's also taken 2 years to get here. Over 2 years to get here.
It has. And their goal is to be able to do that number in 4 or 5 months, maybe, and even faster than that soon.
Showing the Tesla diner.
Well, probably because they mentioned that the diner is going to be coming to Starbase. And I do actually hope that case.
I hope so too. We need some superchargers down at Starbase. We really do.
You need bathrooms.
And bathrooms and bathrooms. But I was like, oh, Tesla diner. I was just there.
Yeah. So for those that aren't aware, that's a new thing Tesla brought out. It's a diner out in California, and it kind of showcases their products, and it's something that they're going to replicate. And they said maybe the next one's going to be here at Starbase. So hopefully we'll see that.
Hopefully it doesn't take 7 years.
Yeah.
Like the first one did.
I hope not. So we are about 10 minutes, a little bit less than that, until we start seeing the propellant loading wrapping up. So we're getting really close to the busy time of the schedule.
Absolutely. And wow, I mean, what a crazy past few days. This is not going to happen. Is it not going to happen? The weather, the ground system. So I think feeling good about it.
Right. So, might be a good opportunity just since we have a little bit of time right now just to kind of say what to expect time-wise. At about 3-ish minutes or so, we're going to start seeing the propellant loading completed. At about 2-ish, 2.5 minutes, that should be done. And then they'll be doing final checks. We have a potential at the T-minus 42nd for a hold that is built in. So we'll be watching for that. And there could be a variety of reasons that they do that. And then at T-minus 30 seconds is where the launch director would give us a go for launch if we are go for launch. And then as we get closer in, about 10 seconds, we should start seeing, maybe a couple of seconds before that, we'll see the kind of the misting system, which is sort of the detonation suppression system. And then we'll see the water coming up out of the ground. That's the upside down water head to try to cool what's going on with that plate and prepare for the launch of the engines. And then after that, we'll see the engines light, take off. And then after that, only about a minute or so, it'll be going past the speed of sound. We're getting into max Q. And about 2.5 minutes, we'll be at hot staging. And after that happens, now we're going to be watching both the ship and the booster. The booster should come back, and if all goes well, go into the Gulf here. At about 6.5 minutes, we'll be seeing that landing burn in their test. So it's going to go really, really quickly. And, as we've seen with the past flights, everybody's looking at the booster to see what it's doing, but we need to pay attention to what's going on with the ship.
Yeah, for sure, especially on this one.
Yes.
Well, we'll be paying attention and we'll be walking you through it. And we are almost 10 minutes away, right?
We're about just about almost 10.5 minutes roughly. So we're getting very, very close now. But
closer than yesterday.
Exactly.
Rudy, for the very generous super chat. Let's see if I can pop it up here. Thank you. Thanks for all the work y'all do to bring awareness to the world. We certainly try. It's again, it's hard to believe how many times not only that we've streamed together now, but that we've sort of had this exact script.
Almost, yeah.
Today, this will be hopefully fourth time is the charm.
It is.
That's our motto for this launch.
Fourth time is the charm.
Fourth time is the charm.
Awesome.
You heard it here.
Yep. And then the next one will be the last B2s. Hopefully they'll do a little bit of different profile, see how that goes. And then after that, then we're going to start getting to the exciting stuff where the ship will go orbital. Maybe it'll eventually come back to be caught. It'll probably be hours or next day kind of thing. So it's going to change a lot about how we do the coverage.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are getting so close. So what, under 10 now?
We are about 9 minutes and 50 seconds roughly. And we're getting thumbs up around us as far as everything's looking good so far. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. One thing, it's just the nature of how the social media kind of thing works is we are going to see stuff before the SpaceX feed sees it. So you'll probably hear us talking about something, and a few seconds later, you'll see it on the screen from their feed. So there's nothing we can really do about that. If we could zoom you in, you'd be able to see what we see at the same time, but unfortunately we don't have that.
I wonder if I should switch it to my MacBook camera for the actual launch reaction so that I can just kind of hold it, or I don't know.
If you want to, you
Might
can
as
do that.
well.
All right, we'll have this camera here, that one, and I'm going to get my other camera set up here, and we are under 9 minutes now,
And
hopefully for flight 10.
Another compliment from Scott Carr. Thank you for another super chat. Joe brings the technical and Ellie brings the humanity of living a life on the moon and space and then Mars. This is why watch you both. Let's go Starship. Thank you for watching us. And yeah, it's great to be here. It's been quite a crazy adventure that now this has been my full-time job for over 3 years. So thank you guys for making that happen. And thank you, Joe, for continuing to do unpaid work on my channel.
I appreciate you having me on. As you can tell, I kind of like this stuff.
Yeah.
So.
I think you could have a very successful space channel. So I'm glad you haven't.
I don't know. The Giga Texas people would be upset. I've already got people asking me, when am I going to go back to start flying?
So it works out in my favor. All right. So we are getting close here. And I just wanted to see if this might make a little bit more sense here.
All right. So what we're hearing right now is that they're very closely watching the weather. It's still red which means it's not good for a liftoff on the range right now. But we're 7 minutes to go. Things can change, so hopefully that will clean up here soon.
Because from where I'm standing, seems all right.
The range extends all the way out to the Indian Ocean. So I don't know if there's something at the Indian Ocean, if there's something in between. It could just be, again, this, off to the west, we see those clouds. So it could be that electrostatic. I don't know. They're not giving us that many details, but it sounds like the range weather is still red at this moment in time.
But we still have a 30-minute window.
We do.
And I'm wearing my flight suit.
Okay, well, it's got to go. I've got my 33 engines on my shirt.
Lit.
Yeah. But yeah, so, we may get to that holding point, and then we'll see what they can do. They have demonstrated that they can hold for fairly extended periods of time. As we also mentioned at the beginning, when they made that choice to start loading the propellant in, they've kind of committed themselves. So if for some reason they cannot launch tonight and we have to go to the next one, it's probably going to be a multi-day slip.
Are you down for a technical question?
Sure.
Gregory wants to know, from Alaska, how are they able to light the engines with the deluge system running?
Well, that's a good question. The deluge system does shoot the water into the air, but it does it at an angle, so it's not actually getting the bottom of the booster wet. So there's really no direct interaction between the water and the engines and the igniters, the torch igniters that they have. So it's not something that they interfere with each other. So they also have them kind of at an angle because it helps to direct that plume coming out of the engines away from the orbital launch mount and kind of push it out to the side as much as it can. I mean, the rockets have a lot of power and they're going to overwhelm the water. But by doing that, it helps direct that flow out to the sides rather than back up at the booster.
Good answer.
All right. Well, hopefully that answers.
And the clock is still counting down. So we're still about, almost 5 minutes out.
Yeah. Well, my guess is right now, I mean, they need to finish up the prop load. They've already committed to that. So we're going to see that go all the way through until it's topped off. And it's very likely we're going to get to that T-minus 40-second point. That would be where they may make that decision to hold if that happens. And then hopefully we'll see how long that they hold it there and what's going on with that weather.
SpaceX announced this before, but they just posted, Starship is built to deliver millions of tons to Mars. We're now offering Starship services to the Red Planet, recently signing our first agreement with the Italian Space Agency, which kind of surprised me that it was with the Italian Space Agency. I know they posted that a few days ago, or I've seen that news already, but they are just posting that now. They're also posting Starship will deploy the more advanced V3 Starlink satellites, with each launch adding more than 20 times the network capacity of Falcon 9 flights. So it's pretty good for the team.
All right, sorry about that. We're just trying to get whatever we can information as we are getting very, very close. We're about less than a minute between now and when the propellant loading starts to wrap up. So if you look at that beautiful view here on the screen, you can tell that the booster is very white. It's almost kind of including all of the stainless steel. There is a gap between the methane and the oxygen tank that you'll see stainless steel, but otherwise it's all pretty white. Of course, the ship is black because we're seeing the tiles, but on the other side, we would see a lot of it white as well.
And thank you for the super sticker from Michael. 2 rocket emojis. We need some 4-leaf clover emojis as well.
I hope so. Great image on the screen. You can see the kind of vapors coming out of the engines. That's part of that engine chill. And that is to thermally condition the engines to make sure that they can accept that cryogenics at that very cold temperature and not have it at ambient. It's almost like if you took scalding water and threw it on yourself if you're not prepared. I mean, that would not be good. And that's kind of what they're trying to prevent from happening. So that is looking good. We're very close to propellant loading, wrapping off or topping off here right now. And like I said, we'll see what happens at T-minus 40 seconds.
And we just got another very generous super chat. What did I say before? A superist chat.
Superist, yeah.
Generous chat from Bimmer Geezer. Hi, Ellie, eating my fresh baked chocolate chip cookie. Wish I could share it with you and you. Love that right now. And we wish you could be here. But thank you for watching as always. And yeah, that sounds delicious. But we're hopefully going to get a rocket launch here in under 3 minutes from now. So clock is still progressing. We are getting our reaction camera up so that we actually have really good sound that we can play back for you guys later on a
Hopefully, yeah.
camera. And well, things are progressing. We are 2.5 minutes out from the 10th launch of Starship.
Well, if it does launch, what we will be able to see is all the engines and it lifting off. It'll be great until it gets to, I'm going to estimate about 4,000 or 5,000 feet, and then it's going to go into a cloud deck, unfortunately. So we'll have the views from SpaceX. It'll be great, but here we'll kind of lose sight of the ship and the booster. But as we said, at about 6.5 minutes after launch, the booster will be coming back, and hopefully once it comes below the clouds, we'll be able to see that again. So we are very, very close now.
2 minutes.
The propellant loading is now, the booster propellant loading is complete. We're under 2 minutes, so we're getting really, really close now.
And thank you, Ronald, for super chat. Thank you both for hosting this epic event. Godspeed. Yes, it's always like crazy when it's actually about to happen. I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go.
Okay.
Weather may still be something that they're keeping their eye on. But look at that wonderful shot from underneath the booster there.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Those are pretty impressive. Those are like super expensive, like hundreds of thousands of dollar cameras with a sapphire lens, and they're able to withstand the thrust of the engines to give us those views when they light the engines. So we're getting close to being back to the minute point. Other than doing final checks and making the decision to go or not, pretty much the rest of the booster, the ship, has got all the propellant in it. It's just basically in that topping off or managing the quantity level right now. We are under 50 seconds, or right about 50 seconds.
Stuff about it being red, but they're still going. So we'll know here in 10 seconds what they're going to do.
So don't be surprised if it stops at T-minus 40 seconds. That would be normal.
Hold at 40.
Holding at 40 seconds. Okay. So we talked about that. This is built in. We'll see what goes on. And we have probably about 25 minutes to go. So when I say that, that's within the window. So they still have some time. Things can change here in South Texas pretty quickly.
Come on.
So fingers crossed.
Come on, weather. I mean, have they indicated what part?
No, they just said weather is cold.
And the weather.
Yeah. So I'm going to make the presumption, that may be wrong, that it's weather around us, and they just want to make sure it's good to go. So
Cross my fingers.
hopefully we'll see a launch here soon. If not, then this is
Nope.
quite
We will.
okay. Well,
We
if not,
will.
this will be quite the wet dress rehearsal.
Optimism
You got
flowing.
your flight suit on.
Not
It
only
has to
that,
launch.
I'm wearing these socks
Oh.
that have a dinosaur
Uh-oh.
or an astronaut riding a
Okay.
dinosaur.
So how could they not launch with that?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I went all out for this. So yes, if you guys are just tuning in, this is holding currently for the weather.
Now, this is a capability Starship has that Falcon 9 does not have. It's holding like this.
Okay,
So,
talk about it.
okay, the weather is green. We should start seeing the clock resuming. So we could be, let's
Just like started
30 seconds or so from the launch. We're just waiting to see when SpaceX starts that back up again. Now, again, SpaceX is a little bit delayed from what we see on the ground. So I'm going to be looking back over towards the launch site, and maybe we'll see something before you guys will, or at least what we see on the SpaceX feed. So they're probably doing last minute, just check. Everybody's looking at their systems, making sure things are good to go. Yeah,
Weird
we are
comment
very
is
close
saving
here.
money, so thank you, weird comment.
Okay. Think positive thoughts, everybody. Hope Flight 10 launches and it does well. So here we go.
Okay, I'm double crossed.
Everything's crossed. Fingers, toes, legs, everything. Cross everything to make sure we have good luck here. Okay. All right.
It's back to red.
Oh, it looks like it went back to red. So it was green for a moment, now back to red. So stand by, and hopefully they can get this resolved. Oh.
What's the anvil cloud? We're seeing.
Oh, we are now scrubbing for the day. It sounds like they have. It's not just a weather issue. It's something called an anvil cloud, and what that is, it's part of a thunderstorm. The anvil is where it kind of extends out from the storm, and you can get hail, lightning, and all that kind of stuff. So apparently, it's within the area around the ship, and it's going to prevent them from launching. So looks like, unfortunately, we got the S word again today. This time due to weather.
No, Joe. No.
Uh-huh.
No. No.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Can they reconsider for me?
I don't think so. I think they made the decision. Because you can imagine just all of the logistics around the world, people out in the Indian Ocean waiting to hopefully recover stuff, other people trying to image it, all the people making sure the exclusion zone, everything, you know. So once they make that decision, it's pretty much decided. So the real question is all right, what is the delay now?
Yeah.
And because they did do a full cryogenics, I'm going to expect it probably 2 days.
I don't think there's any way they can do it tomorrow. No way.
The only caveat I'll put on that is that they have upgraded some of the tank farm capacity. So if they can detank, recover as much as they possibly can, specifically on the oxygen side, because you're going to lose some boil off with that and some of the nitrogen as well, and get the trucks coming in. I think it's going to be tough, but maybe they can do it. I don't know.
I'm very sad.
I am
sure
too.
everyone also is sad in the chat. So just know you're not alone. We're all going through the roller coaster together.
But, you know, and flying, we always say you'd be better on the ground wishing you were in the air than in the air wishing you were on the ground. So
that's true, but really,
yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they don't give us enough granularity on exactly what it was. Was it the lightning threat because they anvil for the thunderstorm? Was it hail that they were detecting, or what was it? But my guess is it's probably that electrostatic, which we were talking about at the very beginning. But all right.
I'm bummed you're still smiling.
Well, you know, it's going to sound kind of silly, but we're living through a very interesting time of history, and I'm trying to, you know, embrace that and enjoy it as much as I possibly can, because there will be a time in the future where people will ask us, what was it like when the Starship was starting up? You know,
Frustrating.
You know, they're flying every 4 hours as they're leaving, you know, so.
It is cool to see the beginnings of this, but man, well, I guess that's all for right now.
I think so. My guess, my guess is probably Wednesday. What is your guess?
Oh yeah, Wednesday. I guess today's Monday.
Yeah,
it's Tuesday. Yeah, my guess would be that's the soonest.
Okay, so we'll find out if we're accurate soon enough. They're going to take a few hours to do the detanking and safing of the ship, and hopefully we'll get some word from them pretty soon. But otherwise, we did get a little bit of information from SpaceX about their plans and some nice views about inside the Star Factory. So those were kind of cool. We got some neat views, some new views of the on-orbit refilling. And from what I understand is they also have put some information out showing their new operations center, which is in that new administration building that they constructed with the new Star Factory. And from what I've kind of been told is that that's going to mostly be for Starship operations. And then they're going to be able to split from this operation here for Starship, and then out at Hawthorne we'll do the Falcon 9. And then that will be the basis for them to be able to manage all of the operational flights, those refueling missions that we talked about, and then the missions up to the moon and Mars. All of that will be controlled, from what I'm hearing, here at the Starbase with that new facility. So I don't know what else we want to.
I'm not sure if there's not much. I don't think there's much else to say. I think we are running out of words here.
All right. Well, We get to go at the beach tomorrow and see another full stack.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Again, thank you seriously for all of the super chats to everyone who was watching. I mean, we're all in the same boat here. And you know, it'll launch, but man, it's just so frustrating when there's the ground systems and then the weather. And I was a little more worried about the weather today. It's funny they had the worst probably yesterday, but today it's
well, I have to look at the weather into the next couple of days, but I believe that it's a trend, better weather. So if that is in fact the case and that's what holds out, then maybe we have a good shot coming up next day.
And thank you, Jeff, for the super chat. Thank you to everyone who's watching. I mean, we all want to see.
We want to see the
baby lit.
the thing leave.
Light this candle.
Exactly, but not today.
So that we can preserve the light of consciousness.
Exactly. Well, to do that, we have to put something on
Yes,
light,
yes,
get it lit,
Yes.
fly up out of the sky.
Well, thank you everyone for watching, and we'll be back at it, and we'll let you know. I guess right now they're determining the next best opportunity, so they haven't officially said when that will be.
Right.
Our guess is Wednesday, but
We'll see.
keep you up to date.
All right.